Testing, 1, 2, 3. That's good. Good.
Good morning. And welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. My name is Becky Brandt, and I'm a member of this congregation. Whether you're a visitor this morning, exploring the possibilities of MVUC, or you're a longtime member, know that you are welcome here. Our church is offering Sunday services both in person and virtually. So if you're at home or anywhere across the states, joining us from somewhere else, we're very glad you're here as well. We gather virtually and in person to recommit ourselves to the mission of this church, to support one another in our spiritual journeys, to work for justice, to care for the earth, and to build the common good. It is great to be together. This morning, I'm also so pleased to be able to introduce and reintroduce and welcome Ebony C. Peace. We're so excited to have Ebony as our minister in residence this summer. And you may have been reading information about her in the newsletters and things, but I just want to tell you a little bit about Ebony. It's her first Sunday here for this summertime. Ebony is a lay community minister and managing director of Sunstone Chapel, a ministry focusing on helping small congregations thrive. She's a certified senior professional in human resources, clinical sociologist, adult, Our Whole Lives sexuality education facilitator, and former special advisor to the board of the Unitarian Universalist Society of Community Ministries. As a part of her community ministry, she also serves as a facilitator for the District of Columbia Center for the LGBT Communities Job Club, vice president for the Association of Applied and Clinical Sociology, and a part-time professor of sociology at Montgomery College in Maryland. Since winning the Charles Billings Prize for Excellence in Preaching awarded by the Meadville Lombard Theological School, Ebony has gone on an annual sermon tour while supporting small congregations through faith-based organizational development so they can increase their membership and thrive in their missions. A lifelong Unitarian Universalist from Maryland, she holds a BA in sociology, an MS in strategic human resources and organization development, and a Master of Arts in Leadership Studies from Meadville Lombard Theological School. She completed her seminary internship at All Souls in DC, where she focused on adult spiritual development, social justice, and worship arts. Please help me welcome Ebony for this summer. I just have one announcement this morning, and that is that if anybody's interested, there will be a time for public comment at the Board of Trustees meeting on Tuesday evening. If you're interested in, and it will be held in the Commons in person, and also there will be a Zoom link if someone would like to attend virtually. If you're interested in getting on the list for public comment, see Glenn Sheffield, okay? You can email him or talk to him after church. Now, let us turn our hearts and minds to worship. We come to the morning offering where MVUC asks each of us to show our spiritual and material generosity. Each week we share the plate with a charitable organization that our community has selected. This week we are sharing the plate with Artemis House. As you know, Artemis House is a 24-hour emergency shelter for victims in danger of domestic and sexual violence and human trafficking. I invite you to contribute whatever you're most comfortable with to Artemis House and to this church community. We are grateful for your donation. And now will the ushers please come forward. Our chalice lighting this morning is entitled Beacon of Freedom by Tracy Johnson. We kindle our chalice flame this morning, awakening the fires of our ancestors in our hearts. Beacon of freedom held out to light the way, light of reason illuminating the path, spark of courage igniting our spirits, aglow with hope for all we endeavor to do together. Holy flame of times past, brighten this present moment, that we may be the love that is the center and our foundation both. Blessed be. Please rise in body or spirit and join in the singing of hymn number 116, I'm on my way. Please remain standing and join in the saying of our covenant, which is found in your order of service and in your hearts. Love is the teaching of this church, the quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in covenant. This is our covenant with each and with all.
Good morning. Good morning. And now, I invite you to take a deep breath. Let's gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer, meditation, or attentive stillness, which will then be followed by prayerful words written by this year's UUA General Assembly Ware lecturer, Julia Watts Beezer. These words are from her book, Loving Our Own Bones, Disability Wisdom and the Spiritual Subversiveness of Knowing Ourselves Whole. During this quiet time, may our hearts open to love and healing. May our minds open to hope and possibility. This is the fierce joy that fuels my activism, the body knowledge that grounds my ethics, the wildness that runs like a live wire through my life. It is an ethics bound up with the concrete work of justice, with an activist's sensibility, a sense of obligation, a call to recognize and resist violence and oppression, to put my own flesh, my mind, my heart, my fire in service of a world made generous and loving and whole. This body knowledge fuels my hunger for a different world, a world where there are no disposable lives, a world where disabled bodies, black bodies, brown bodies, fat bodies, slow bodies, women's bodies, immigrant bodies, Muslim bodies, Jewish bodies, silent, stuttering, blind, and queer bodies, old bodies, trans bodies, homeless bodies are all safe on the streets of our cities. I dream a world where this is the cornerstone obligation of our souls, the ground of our commitment, a world, as a psalmist says, where justice and peace will kiss. Amen. You are invited to come up and light a candle.
We do have a few children. I don't know if they're going to go to RE class or not. They're welcome to stay. But let's sing our children out to their RE classes.
Love it. So I have a question. Raise your hand if you've heard of Harriet Tubman. If you're able, in spirit or... Yeah, that's pretty much all of us, right? Many of us know she helped liberate many, many enslaved people to freedom. Before she became what's called a conductor, or before she was known as Black Moses, she was enslaved on Maryland's Eastern Shore. She's from Maryland, which is where I'm from as well. She's in history books. Much is written about her in our own UU religious education curriculum as well. And there are documentaries and even a Hollywood movie about the impact she had and the lives that she saved through her compassionate leadership. What is less known about her is her military career. She was an Army veteran. While in the Union Army, she served as a nurse, a cook, a scout, and intelligence operative. And this resulted in successes for the Union Army and the liberation of enslaved African Americans. In 1863, she became the first woman, black, white, or otherwise, in American history to lead a military assault. This military operation freed over 750 enslaved men, women, children, and babies. She was buried with military honors when she died of pneumonia in 1913. She was a courageous servant leader. In June 1858, abolitionist John Brown nicknamed her General Tubman out of respect for her bravery and military service. If you ask me, her ministry was freeing people from bondage. For the abused and oppressed people she helped, her ministry was the answer to their prayers. The more people she could help free, the better. If she had to cook, help heal the sick, scout, and spy to do it, she did it. When the abolitionist governor of Massachusetts, John Andrew, recruited her into the Army, I don't think she said yes because she wanted to serve in the military. I think she said yes because she saw an opportunity to free more people than she ever could do on her own. She knew her ministry. She knew what she was called to do. But who was she really? Who was she outside of all of these accomplishments? Even today, the positive repercussions of her impact continue to be felt. Her actions help us better understand who she was. What she prioritized during her life gives us clarity on her values. What she sacrificed, the risks she took, help us deepen our understanding of what she felt called to do and why. I get the impression that she was very clear on the what she was called to do, what she would risk her life and freedom for over and over and over again. On the other hand, the how seemed to vary depending on the intersection between what would free the most people and how best she could use her innate and learned gifts. Harriet Tubman was a leader. She led and she served. She was a woman who insisted on her own dignity and would accept nothing less. A lot of people lead and a lot of people serve, but what makes her stand out to me is her why. And that's what I'd like to shift into next. In reflecting on her why, what bubbles up for me, what bubbles up to the surface is that her ministry of freeing people from bondage has always resonated with me. In my own journey of discernment around my ministry and what I am called to do, her story teaches me a lot about connecting with our purpose and leaning into our innate and learned gifts to help others. I've come to see just how spirit-led she was. To say that she was a social justice warrior is not enough. She was much more than that. Her legacy is more than that. In her time, she may not have identified as a lay community minister, but in my time, without reservation, I consider her a lay community minister. And you know, what's that saying? If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a what? It's a duck. And this is why I also find the endearment, Black Moses, so fitting. And this is what people called her, the Black Moses. Like Moses of the Bible, Harriet delivered people from slavery, from bondage. This title that many of her generation called her, it also pays homage to the fact that in countless interviews, she is clear that what or who she called God is the source of her strength, bravery, and inspiration. Her love of other people, her conviction that we are all free, her belief that each of us are divinely worthy of our inherent dignity, seemed to be the catalyst for her perseverance. Her life's work, her legacy, is putting love at the center. She got into all types of good trouble living into her calling. Despite racism, sexism, classism, ableism, and more. I want to touch on why I mentioned ableism. Like Moses of the Bible, Harriet lived with a disability. While Moses had a speech disability, Harriet experienced headaches, a chronic neurological disorder, and hallucinations. This was a result of being hit in the head with a 2-pound weight while she was protecting another enslaved person from an overseer. It fractured her skull. An enslaved person with this disability, it caused her to be viewed as less valuable. It also caused her to be very much underestimated. Harriet Tubman was a Black enslaved woman, understood by her oppressors to be less valuable than her peers. She was short in stature, standing only 5 foot tall. That's shorter than me. She could not read or write. She had 0 formal education. There were layers and layers of oppression, lack of privilege, and biases against her, and yet she never wavered from her calling. She didn't possess what most people in her generation would consider to be proper qualifications for a leader. However, she did not need or seek anyone's permission or approval. To the contrary, the impact of her holy work caused others to reach out to her and invite her onto their teams. Harriet was religious, she was spiritual, she was full of faith. She overcame and reached her goals time and time again. Remember, she was a woman who insisted on her own dignity. She wasn't satisfied with freeing herself. In her heart, in her spirit, she knew all people should be free. She used this deep knowing to take action. It's one thing to speak against something, to go on social media and post about something, to preach about something, to vote for or against something. Yet, to directly challenge oppression in a way that risks your life, in a way that risks your freedom, takes a different level of courage, devotion, and faith. Harriet Tubman made at least 13 separate trips in and out of Maryland to rescue 70 enslaved people. That's 13 times she could have been killed, re-enslaved, or worse. She put herself in harm's way because her calling was more powerful than her fear. I have a deep admiration for her, for how she lived a purpose-driven, spirit-led life. I'm not the only one who admires her community ministry. However, in my own life and in my own ministry, when faced with even remotely similar circumstances, I found I could never muster up the same level of courage, devotion, and faith that she had. During the Black Lives Movement a few years ago, I felt a deep pull to protest in the streets. I wanted to lift my voice against oppression and police brutality. I signed up for mailing lists and researched protest events. Yet I saw people being beaten, kidnapped in black vans, and shot by police simply for protesting peacefully. Did you see that? Did you see that on TV, on social media? During this same time, I had 2 very young children and 2 elderly, immune-compromised parents that I was caring for. What would happen to them if something happened to me? I felt less than. I felt torn. I was not brave enough to do what others were doing. How do I reconcile my need to be the parent and daughter my values call for, while also being a spirit-led change maker on the front lines? Is this not what community ministers do? The truth is, despite being able to talk about taking action from the safety of the pulpit, I was absolutely terrified. I was terrified of walking the talk beyond the walls if it meant risking my life, being shot in the eye with a real or rubber bullet, or whatever it was they were doing to those peaceful protesters that were snatched into unidentified large black vans. I ended up donating money to the cause, ordering yard signs, and adding some bumper stickers for good measure. Maybe I'm not the only one. I felt this was better than nothing, but I still struggled with finding peace with myself. A yard sign might sound like a small thing to you, but for me, it was significant. At the time, no one in my neighborhood had yard signs of any kind. I was literally the first one. It was uncomfortable, but it felt good at the same time, and I did it. To my surprise, a couple of weeks after I put up my Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate signs, similar signs started popping up all over my neighborhood. Then someone sent an email through our neighborhood listserv asking where they might purchase some signs to support the cause. I answered their question and invited them and everyone on the listserv, which was our neighborhood, to consider doing more than putting up signs. I reminded them that our neighborhood covenants and bylaws had racist language that barred Blacks, Asians, and Jewish people from our community. Because of the current laws, these racist covenants could not be enforced. But the fact that they were still there was hurtful and made people like me feel unwelcomed in my own neighborhood. Long story short, us neighbors worked together, secured a pro bono lawyer, connected with our county legislators, and volunteered our time, and we got our neighborhood covenants changed. Then, just like the yard sign, we learned other neighborhoods started doing similarly, changing their racist covenants, despite the overly cumbersome process and expense. What I take from this experience is that just as we need leadership at all levels, clergy, ordained, lay, we need action at all levels. Lead where you are. Take action where you are. If you can't go to the front lines, go to your backyard, your neighborhood, your workplace, your congregation, your community. What are the front lines anyway? I've come to discover that they are everywhere. Front, back, all around. We need everyone, everywhere, because that's where oppression is. We need love to get into the nooks and crannies. Many small changes make for big movements. I found my peace. How might you find yours? What is your stretch? If you're uncomfortable or unable to do one thing, what is it that you can do? How might you, like Harriet Tubman, use your innate and learned gifts to help make the world a better place? I invite us to remember that our values call us to transform our world. Unitarian Universalists are not known to be passive bystanders. If we know about it, we start planning to do something about it. Harriet believed it was everyone's divinely given right to be free. We believe that too. May we all do our part to help make this belief a reality. I'm of the mindset that to transform our world, we must start with ourselves. Harriet Tubman transformed her own situation and then helped others do the same. She paid it forward. How might we do the same? Harriet was generous. She gave up her security and risked her life and her safety for the sake of others. The articles and stories I read about Harriet Tubman seem to conclude that despite her accomplishments and the admiration of many, she died in financial poverty. I would add that though that may be true, she also died with a wealthy spirit and a full heart, overflowing with the fulfillment of a life well lived. She understood what it meant to lean into interdependence, another one of our UU values. Are you getting that? We got generosity. That's one of our core values. We're on independence now. She understood what it meant to lean into interdependence. She was a conductor on the Underground Railroad, but it takes a full staff, a dedicated team to drive a train. She did not do her holy work alone, and neither should we. When she joined the Union Army, she was able to help hundreds of more to liberation than she could have done on her own. Even though her own was previously admirable, albeit smaller scale, she said yes to serving the Union Army, a large organization who shared her values and whose goals aligned with her own. We can be small and mighty, like Harriet, and we can also multiply our service when we collaborate with like-minded communities and even with each other. Here at Mount Vernon Unitarian Church, we can do this. Imagine where Harriet Tubman's story and impact might have ended if she stayed within her own silo. Imagine what we can do here when we reach out of our silos and invite others to lead, learn, and collaborate with us. Our values call for transformation. Our values call for generosity and interdependence. Our values call us to put love at the center, not ego at the center, not because we've always done it this way at the center. Love. Love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. You've heard that before. Let's hear it. Let's internalize it. Let's do it. Let's live it. Imagine what we can do when we put this kind of love at the center. Or consider the language of our revised values when describing love, and I quote, "Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love." I believe that working together is holy and good. I believe that working together makes us stronger and more impactful. So let's be stronger. Let's be more impactful. Let's be more loving to our world and to each other. Amen.
Please rise as you're willing and able, and join in the singing of hymn number 153, "Oh, I Woke Up This Morning." And join now in the words that we use to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
The following words were written by Alandria Williams, a beloved and devoted leader in our faith tradition. This is called Meditation on the Power of We. Put your feet down because we're about to do embodiment. Close your eyes, breathe in and breathe out. When you hear the word liberation, liberatory spirit, liberatory life, liberatory possibilities, what does that conjure in your soul? When you hear we are the liberating force, spirit, light, and love, what does that conjure in your spirit? When you hear that we have the power to transform the world around us, what does that mean in your bones? When you hear we are the people that we have been waiting for, we are, how does that feel in your blood? We are the light, we are the wisdom, we are the ancestors, we are those yet to come. How do we fully hold all that is in ourselves? Open your eyes, look at the people around you, and go out and organize. Go out and organize. Amen.